the government is facing the opposition heat over calls to sack the Union Minister Ajay Mishra. He is the sitting MOS home. This after an SIT probing the Lakhimpur violence called it a planned conspiracy, allegedly by his jailed son Ashish Mishra. Now, Rahul Gandhi and the Congress have given a notice for discussion on the report, which also seeks new charges against the minister's son, who is behind bars. Ajay Mishra, remember, had defended his son and now is silent. He was seen visiting his son in the district jail yesterday. What we're learning, however, is that the opposition is now upping the ante. The question is, will the government sack Ajay Mishra? Sanket Upadhyay joins us with the details. Sanket, what are you hearing?
Well, that is the big question now, whether the government is going to remove Mr. Ajay Mishra Teni from the position of the Minister of State for Home, serving as the junior minister under Amit Shah. Now, there is a bit of a history here. If you recall, 2 months ago when this incident happened, the senior leadership and the senior home minister, who is Mr. Amit Shah, called Mr. Teni to explain his side of the story. And after listening to him twice, they were convinced that his version of the story is fine, there is nothing wrong, and he can continue as minister. This is the reason why he has continued for this long and remained at that position. Now, with a Supreme Court monitored SIT or Supreme Court constituted SIT finding flaws in that argument, having said that this is not a case of accident but a case of a planned conspiracy, the question and the strobe lights are on Mr. Teni himself. Because if you recall, over the past 2 months, he, along with his son, have defended themselves by saying that the son was not even there and that he was somewhere else. With the SIT now saying that the son is the main conspirator, this then becomes a case of Mr. Teni lying or not speaking the truth. In that context, is his position tenable, or can he continue as the MOS home? This is the big question. That's the question being raised by opposition also in Parliament, both houses of Parliament. There has been ruckus where the opposition, in fact, Rahul Gandhi moving an adjournment motion saying that there has to be an urgent discussion on this matter and Mr. Teni be sacked. There was a lot of hangama and adjournments that took place. The opposition has upped the ante, saying that this is high time that a resignation is asked for. The government, as of this moment, not saying much. Meanwhile, Mr. Teni himself is not, to the best of our knowledge, in Parliament. Yesterday, he was spotted in Lakhimpur meeting his son in jail. But since then, he's not been seen in Delhi. So, really, now all eyes on what the government decides on the future of Ajay Mishra Teni. Rishika, it is becoming increasingly difficult for the BJP to explain to its own people as to why Mr. Teni continues as a minister, because within the UP BJP, and I can tell you after speaking to sources, it's getting very difficult for BJP's state unit also to defend Mr. Teni.
Sanket, and you've been reporting on how the BJP appears to be a divided house as well when it comes to, the MOS retaining his current position. Given the fact that the Uttar Pradesh election is just months away, what are you picking up from sources? Is there likely to be a rethink?
Well, there is a considerable amount of pressure on the government, most certainly. Remember, it's not going to be an easy decision. The reason why this decision was not taken in the first place, one, the BJP brazened it out. Two, the BJP said that we've spoken to Mr. Teni and we see no fault in his side of the story. And then came this SIT report, which just complicates matters further. The problem is that in an assembly election like Uttar Pradesh, it is very important to get your caste equations right. As Akhilesh is chipping away smaller alliance partners who were vital in making the BJP win in 2014, 17, 19, the BJP also hopes that one key caste constituent in their mix, the Brahmins, continue to stay with them as Mayawati is looking to woo the Brahmins. Mr. Ajay Mishra Teni is from the Brahmin community, very influential in his area. So really the consideration over here is to brazen it out and then let a charge stick that you protect criminals, or to let go of Mr. Ajay Mishra Teni and let go of certain caste-related benefits by having having a tall Brahmin leader. So I think that's the reason why he stayed on. But it'll be increasingly difficult for the BJP to continue to brazen it out from here on, because if you speak to the farmers, they are also very, very angry and upset, both in the state as well as outside, that Mr. Taney continues to be in that position. The farmers continuously say, Rishika, that every step of the way, the BJP state government as well as the centre tried to defend the indefensible. And this bluff was called out at reasonable level with videos, with now a proof. And a probe.
Right.
So if that is not done, then perhaps it could have, political implications.